Welcome to this episode of Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess. I'm Eric.
And I'm Angie.
We are married with a ton of kids.
We have 6 kids total. He has 3 and I have 3.
My name's Hallie and I love riding horses.
I'm Lexi and I love agriculture.
My name's Carter and I love eating.
My name's Chase and I love lifting weights.
My name's Summer and I love spending my parents' money.
I'm Dane and I love baseball.
Our show is about our blended, blessed, and always a mess life. And our hope is if you find yourself in the same situation we are in, that by sharing our story, all the fun and all the mess, the challenges we are experiencing, it will give you some inspirations, laughs, and community, knowing you are not alone in this mess.
We appreciate you spending time with us. Let's dive in.
This episode of Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess is sponsored by the children's book Feathers Matter. As our kids grow up, they face challenges in their life, and knowing their self-worth and their value is crucial to face the headwinds. Purchase this beautiful story to read to your kids and grandkids and start the conversation with them at a young age. They are worthy, they matter, and their feathers matter. You can find the link to order on our Blended, Blessed, alwaysamess.com page. Mention code #blessed for an autographed copy. Welcome to this week's episode of Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess, where if you like the podcast, do us a favor and rate us on the different platforms that you use. Also, share it with somebody that you think could benefit from what we're doing. Angie did a great episode last week on top 10 ways to survive. Really liked that. And it seems like the listeners did too. So great job, Ange. And it's been a busy month.
Yes, we have had every weekend for the last 4 weekends gone out of town to a different state, it felt like. And now we're settling back into back to school and routines and alarm clocks. And yes.
I like it.
Yes.
I've talked about it on the radio every day this week, that I like it. I know the kids don't, but as parents, at some point, you've got to get back into the routine.
Yeah. And I feel like, I don't know if you feel this way, but I feel like everybody had a good summer. Last summer, I mean, just nothing but an absolute shit show. The twins had summer school because they were switching to a private school and going in their freshman year. So they had basically a month of summer school. Then we go into the vacation from hell and everything else. First summer without Hallie, like it just did not feel like we had any fun. And so this summer, I feel like we made up for that. And we did have lots of moments of joy. And it felt like the kids actually had downtime and we did the things, checked all the boxes. And so now we're back in school and we actually had time to watch a movie the other night, which is very bizarre. I don't even know the last time we actually watched a movie, but my sister Jessie recommended I Can Only Imagine on Netflix. And we are I'll just say we're way behind on all the best shows to watch.
Always.
I looked at this one, when did this movie come out? Is this a recent one? No, it was 2018. 2018. But if you're looking for a movie to watch, it's a great movie. I absolutely love movies that are based on a true story. I don't like any of the crap that's far-fetched. And
you're not like a Star Wars.
God, no.
Any of that. No, you want it to be more real, relatable, that sort of thing.
Yeah. You know why? Because it's a waste of time to watch that stuff. That's how it is in my mind. If I want to learn something from it, I want it to be meaningful, powerful. And if it's not, then why am I watching it? I don't have enough time for that. That's how my mind works. This movie is based on a true story. And if you listen to Christian music, there's a band called Mercy Me, and they have a lot of hit songs, but it's about how they got started. And I won't tell you the storyline, but at the end of the movie, I kind of lost my shit.
I was crying too, but yeah, you cried hard, and as you should. We'll just say the songs obviously, or the movie's called I Can Only Imagine. Even if you don't like Christian music, this song was on the pop charts, the adult contemporary charts. It was a #1 hit in so many genres. Country radio played it back around the year 2000. So you would know the song. But when it happens and the big mega scene at the end, it was very emotional because the song is about when you get to finally meet Jesus.
Yeah. And I think there's so many times in our lives you hear something, but you don't ever actually hear it until
That's
you
fair.
need to hear it. And I've listened to this song a million times. But then when it's portrayed in the aspect of why it was written, and I'm in a different scenario in my life and a journey in my life, that I long to know what heaven's like because a piece of my soul is there. That listening to him sing that song at the end was just like, holy shit. Like I'm going to go hide in the bathroom for a little bit and let the ugly cry out.
And we've talked about this on previous podcasts, and you and I have talked about it in counseling with our counselor that we love, is that we have gotten to a place in our marriage where I used to would have tried to follow you into the bathroom. And I've learned that is not what you want. You want in there to ugly cry. Now, we were cuddled up on our bed watching the movie, and you got up, and I was
I cry, but like, there's times where you can't breathe. Like I just want to let it all out. But why it got me so deeply is because it just hits home where I know I want to know what that's like. I've had a child go before me that has already experienced that. And I don't know what that's like. I don't know what she has gone through. And you as a mom, especially, you want all the moments and all the adventures with your kids. And for her to experience something that I don't know what it's like is so like, it's hard and painful.
I had counseling earlier this week, and I visited with our counselor about the event itself, because the entire process of losing Hallie is brutal from a child loss standpoint. It's also really difficult on a marriage. And as we've talked about, just learning to let you go and sit alone and cry was something that we've had to do over the last 20 plus months. But I'm also super attuned, or trying to be super attuned, with different things in our marriage right now. And so I was telling her, I didn't want to just wait in bed for you to come back, but I also knew I wasn't allowed to follow you into the bathroom because you needed to cry it out. So I made a conscious decision that I was going to wait for you on the other side of the door rather than just wait for you to come back to bed, because I wanted you to be able to come out and know that I was with you and you had an embrace waiting for you, because I understood the significance of the moment as to what you were feeling and what you were thinking and why it was so upsetting. And so I was telling her, like, I try to, as a husband, not knowing what I'm doing and getting it wrong so often, I wanted to make a subtle gesture of, I'm giving you this space, but I'm also not ignoring you by staying in bed. I am here for you when you're ready. And you and I haven't talked about that since I had my appointment, and you were supposed to go this week, but things didn't work out. And so, yeah, just sharing that to say that maybe I did that right. Maybe I didn't do that right. But that was the intent behind it, was to show up for you in a way that says, hey, I've listened to our previous conversations. I also want you to know you're not alone. So it was a powerful movie.
It's
Recommend
good
it
movie.
to any family. I mean, anybody, but if you want to watch a family movie, really good.
Yeah, definitely. And then this past weekend, we always get signs from Hal. Like, it's so crazy. And I'll share a couple that recently, if you have a dog, a pet, they become part of your family. And my sister Tracy has several dogs, and she recently lost one of her dogs. And so, obviously upsetting for her family. And she had purchased like a little headstone, or like a little stone to place above where they buried him. And anyway, she just ordered it online and gets it in the mail. And attached to it is a card from the place she ordered it from, with a sunflower and a green heart on it.
So crazy.
I mean, out of all the flowers, why would you even put a green heart on it? And why green? Like, you could just analyze and ask all these questions, or you could just be like, okay, that's Hallie saying, hey, Tracy, I've got your dog up here and everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
It's insane. Like, it's so hard to even believe. And I don't even know why I continue to be shocked when all these little signs come in, but there's just no explaining a lot of it. Of all the flowers, why pair those two together? It's just crazy. So,
great reminder to me every time that Hallie is very much alive. She's actually, I said to someone earlier this week that I'm starting to get to a point where I believe that life doesn't actually begin until we die.
I know.
And that's when real life actually starts for us.
I believe that too. I believe, like, of course, you know me, I'm always like thinking and analyzing, and I try to imagine it. Like the movie, like I can only imagine, but like I do try to imagine it all the time. And I think I imagine we're the ones in like a fishbowl in a lot of ways when you're living here on earth. And it's just like, you have no freaking clue that you're in this fishbowl and what is outside of this. You just can't even process it. And it's just amazing to even try to think about how much living really exists outside of all what we know. It was also crazy. So we have been traveling for the last month, so we haven't been in person in the church that we like to go to. But it's funny because even though it's a massive church, we always sit in the same row.
We try to.
And so some people that sit around us are the same and always try to sit in the same spot. And Aric is the type of person that drinks out of a regular coffee cup. Driving in a car, like no matter what he's doing, he's drinking out of a regular coffee cup, which means there's no lid. And for whatever reason, he never spills his coffee.
I go to speak at breakfast in the morning, public speaking events. I've got my own coffee mug. People just know, like, I'm going to walk into a business at 9 a.m. with my own coffee mug. It's one of the
how
quirks
you
about
don't hit
me.
a bump on the road and spill your coffee, I have no idea.
I go with it. Like, I see him and I go with it. I mean,
so we're in church.
Skill set, a rare one that I possess. Right. I don't have many, but that's one.
That is a skill. I agree with you. So when we go to church, he always brings his own coffee cup. And this couple that sits behind us, we don't know their names, but they've sat behind us for a long time. And at one point, I don't know how long ago do you think that was? Probably a year ago, maybe?
Yeah, several months to a year.
She made a comment about Aric not having a lid on his coffee cup. She's like, I don't understand how you do that. She's like, I always have to have a lid. I'm like, I don't know, but he does it. Like driving in a car, never has a lid. So it's kind of been this like a little joke every once in a while that she brings up.
And we don't know that. We've never met them. We've never said my name's Aric and Angie. We've never done that.
Nothing. Never talk after church either, by the way. Like there's no conversations except there's this joke about the coffee cup with no lid. Okay, so we're back in church this Sunday. And I told Aric, which I never do this either, which is weird. I'm like, hey, I'm going to grab a seat because it's all the college kids are back in town. We live in a town that's, Mizzou, home of Mizzou. And so all these college kids are back in town and a lot of them go to this church. And so it's busy here. And so I'm like, it might be busy. I'll go get our spots. And would you get me a coffee? And I mean, I've just never even asked you to do that. So Aric goes and gets me a coffee with his coffee, but he comes back in this little to-go cup with no effing lid.
I didn't think about it because I don't ever use a lid.
Listen, I am not coordinated, and my coffee cups always have to have lids on them.
That's true. She needs a lid.
So he brings it to me. I don't say anything. I'm like, oh God dang, there's no lid.
I would have gone back and got you one.
I know.
Next time I'll get it right. I'll get it right.
It's fine. Okay, so we sit down. He sits down with me, and then here comes this couple that sits down behind us, and she leans over. She's like, oh my God, are you joining him of having a cup with no lid? And I'm like, no, here's the deal. He just brought this to me with no lid. And I'm like, now I'm going to be so distracted during church and not smell my coffee that I'm not even going to pay attention to Jesus. So we laugh about it. Okay. Then we actually start having a conversation.
Yeah.
And she said, we were talking about, I said, well, we got here early. I guess that's how it came up. I'm trying to think about how the conversation started, but we started talking about our kids. And that she's like, well, I drive to Jeff every day. They have twins that are 15-year-old twins, boy, girl twins. And then we, obviously we do too. So that kind of sparked that conversation. And talking about driving them everywhere when they're going to get their license and stuff. So we could totally relate to that. And then I was just sitting there and I thought, well, I wonder where she works in Jefferson City, because that's where my kids go to school. And
it's about 30 minutes away from us if you're not from Missouri. It's
right.
About a 30-minute drive. So
I just asked her, I'm like, well, where do you work? And she's like, oh, I work for the Highway Patrol and I oversee our forensics group. And Eric and I just look at each other. And it's always that moment of like, do I share our shit or do I not? Or is the person going to be like, oh God, that's a lot. Is it too personal? Do I not share? Like, I always analyze that of like, is it worth it to share it or not? And so I did, for whatever reason. Again, like, I don't know what sparked that. And I said, wow, okay. So I said, well, I lost my daughter about 21 months ago. And she's like, what, car accident? And I said, no. And I always hate to say what happened, because to me, it's horrendous to even still say out loud. Like, I don't even like to get the words out of my mouth, but I'm like, no, her boyfriend shot her in the face 5 feet away. I mean, that's usually my response of like sharing what happened. And she's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. It's like not something she can talk about at that point, right?
Right.
Because it's like, okay. Yep.
But yeah, she couldn't weigh in. Obviously, we weren't really even asking her anything. We just shared what happened. And, she obviously was like, I'm so sorry to hear that. And then that was kind of about it, and church started. So then after church, she was like, hey, I actually was thinking during church, would you be open to coming and speaking to our group? Because we have a ton of cases, as you can imagine. And sometimes it's really easy to get bogged down with focusing on how many cases you have versus how many people you're actually helping. And so from a victim's family aspect, would you want to come and share your story and talk about like how we helped your case type of thing? Of course, me. Hell yes, I would absolutely be open to talking about our story. It's another group of people that would know Hallie and know what happened and know what kind of impact that has permanently on families. But I just share that because it's another moment of like crossing paths with someone that was right there the whole time. I know she has seen me cry in church. Mm-hmm, I always get teary-eyed in church. And here there's someone sitting right behind you that is connected or involved in the tragedy that happened to your daughter. And if it wouldn't have been for you not putting a lid on your coffee cup, how many months ago that started that joke, we never would have like just started talking. Just crazy. If I wouldn't have asked you to get me a coffee and you did not put a lid on it, it never would have sparked that joke and that extended conversation. So anyway, I feel like it's just another sign of Hallie connecting us with people that are like right there and you don't even know it.
Glad I could not use a coffee.
Yeah. Well done.
Yeah. Okay.
Well done.
This week we thought we would just take 10 minutes or so to touch on back to school because it is different for everyone. You have some people that are sending their kids off to kindergarten and maybe they're upset about their baby going off to school. Others that are entering a senior year phase of life. We're all over the board, kind of new, right? Lexi is out of school now, but we sent Carter off to college. That was a big difference. And I've said this all week long. When we moved Hallie and Lexi into Mizzou, that really didn't bother me that much because we 7 or 8 minutes from our house and we could get to them and help them with whatever they needed. I think it's fair to say that I have struggled with this move more than most people in the home. Carter's dorm is about 45 minutes, maybe 50 minutes away from our house. So not terrible. And I know he's having a great time, but I love my relationship with him. And this has been a bit on the difficult side for Dad, if I could just be honest. It's because he's not a great communicator in general. So trying to text him, pull information out of him is not the easiest thing in the world. So I don't know. I know that people go through this all the time. It's supposed to get easier. Obviously, Angie wishes she could talk to Hallie every day. I can at least kind of talk to Carter. So, I mean, it's just part of him spreading his wings and flying. And as you have said, he's always been a middle child without that opportunity. He's probably really going to enjoy himself for a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Back to school is so many different emotions. I mean, as you're got teary-eyed hugging Carter, and I know it was hard for you to let him go. I'll just be honest, and my hardened heart is like, wow, at least you can still hug him. And I think that's what makes back to school hard in so many aspects, right? Like I know that there's so many mamas out there hurting, and back to school is really hard on them because it's such a reminder that they're never going to get any other experiences with their kids. And you know, we start a blog, and so if you haven't signed up for our blog on Blended Blessed Always a Mess website, definitely do that. But I just posted a blog post this past week of just talking about me as a mom. Like I never cried when my kids started kindergarten, or, you know, took on that next grade level, or graduated from middle school, or senior year graduate. Like for me, I was always more excited for them of getting to take on some new adventure and moving up in life and onward, that I could easily put my emotions to the side and more just felt the joy and excitement. Like I am stoked for Carter. Like I am so excited for him, because I think I remember that level of freedom of graduating and wanting to do my own thing and wanting to prove myself and have my own experiences. That it's exciting. So I'm an empath. Like I feel what they're feeling. And so I've never allowed myself to be upset or sad because it wasn't about me. It was about them. But then you switch it. We switch it to now, and it is about me in a lot of ways, of like this whole grief journey of like, I'm sad, I'm hurt, I'm angry, I'm grieving, I'm, scared, I am all the things. And I've challenged myself to like think about, well, why am I not making it about Hallie then? And everything that, I mean, she's got these flipping superpowers. She can do all kinds of fun shit. And I should be more of like not thinking about myself, thinking about her and how beautiful she doesn't have to live in a broken world like we do. And so there's that aspect of like back to school and all these emotions that I think everybody feels, whether you've lost a child or not. I think you wrestle with that of like, well, I should be happy for them, but I'm sad, and trying to balance that all out is hard.
Yeah, I think you're right. And so I do like how you've been wording that, though, that there is an opportunity for you. We've already said earlier, like you don't really start living until you die. And if we can take the grief and somehow turn it into some type of joy, again, we don't know what we're doing. We're doing this as we go, the best of our abilities. But there is wisdom in those words when you say that and you type it in the blog. When I read it, I thought it's something deep about that really makes a lot of sense for sure. So, and it is kind of a moving year, and the fact that the twins are sophomores, Dane's an 8th grader, so he's wrapping up middle school. The twins are going to be driving in less than 4 months. And that obviously changes things, right? It's going to make things, give you a lot more free time, not running kids. Even me, I run the kids a lot. But then there's also that driving, that next set of worry that comes with that, being concerned about what happens when they get behind the wheel of a car and other drivers.
Yeah,
things of that nature.
I've already started on my begging to God and Hallie, like, please wrap your wings around them because I'm going to instantly have 2 drivers. I don't think I could survive losing another child, and kids are like, they're texting, they're, not paying attention. That's so dangerous driving. And got one overly cautious. I got the other one that's super, super confident. And
Mario Andretti Jr.
Yes. And
Dale Earnhardt Jr., whatever you want to call him. He's
a good driver, but
he is a good driver. But yes,
he's confident in his need for speed. So there's that whole aspect. And then there's just for me even of like, I'm not going to be needed. And what does that look like for me? Like when kids get their license, it's a key to freedom in a lot of ways, and they can come and go. And I am used to being trapped in a car with them. So you have conversations and all that. And now they're just going to be doing their own thing. And that's scary for me because they've also been a huge lifeline for me to keep me going because they need me, and they're going to start needing me less. And so trying to navigate all of that again, go back to my old mindset of like excited about it for them and not making it about me. And I think it just constantly goes back to my number one survival mode that I shared last week. It's like faith and having that firm foundation that you can only focus on what you can control. You have to believe in there's a bigger story and trust that everything's going to work itself out and God has something in store for me when I have more time. What that is, I don't know. It's like a wait and see. Oh boy.
What? I'm just saying. I'm not just saying. Someone still needs you. Someone's patiently been waiting his turn. So
yes, as a mother, I don't want to take care of a grown ass man though. So
I'm not asking you to take care of me. That's not what I'm asking.
I know, but like as a mom, that's what I'm saying is like,
right. But with your free time,
as a mom, that's how we're wired is like to take care of our children, not
I just looking forward to the time.
40-year-old man.
Hoping that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then you've got Dane, 14, 8th grade, hormones. Who the heck knows what's going on all the time. He is trying new things, football for the first time, still deeply involved in his baseball. And so he surprises us in both good and bad ways. As you said at his birthday dinner this past week, he's got a huge heart. And he does, he conveys that heart. And sometimes he can be like his father and be a little animated. And other times he can misdirect that. I totally can relate.
Kids. It's all kids.
I can relate. Yeah. So a little different. But what I did read, a couple of tips, right? I did what you do. I Googled some things. I did.
Here we go.
I tried to take some tips from you and Google some things. Okay.
Let's see what your googly results are.
60% of parents cry when their kids go back. And that's never 100%. Me. But with Carter going as far as he did, it was really hard for me to let go of that hug. And the tears were welled up. And that was tough. So that was the first time I've ever teared up with one of my kids leaving. I was like you. It's like, you're in kindergarten, good for you. You're supposed to be. You're graduating high school, you should. Otherwise, we had a bigger problem. So, but this one, that was difficult for me, for sure. But then one of the things that all of a sudden helped you get back to the swing of things, routine, like we talked about at the beginning, bedtimes. And that's easier with your grade school kids than it is with our teenage kids, right? Because you tell Chase, Summer, Dane, hey, bedtime, they're looking at you like you got 4 eyeballs whenever you
they're going to bed early during a school night. They think that's like 11:30.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They think that's early compared to their 1, 2, 3 in the morning. And so, but when you got younger kids, you can go like, okay, 8 o'clock, it's bedtime. And that's a good thing. Where for me, like if we could get our kids going to bed at 10:30, that would be fantastic. I don't know that that's
we're in bed
happen.
We're in bed way before they are.
And that's the problem. We're not up to be like, go to bed because we're tired.
Yeah. We're old.
Like we don't have kids tonight. We record this. We'll be definitely in bed by 8:30. I don't even feel bad about that.
No, I have to tell you, like, I'm going to change the subject for a second, but self-care is so important, right? And I think we all do a very sucky job of rest and recover. And it could be a dad thing, could be a mom thing. It just depends on your personality. But we go, and check all the boxes 24/7. And I just think we generally suck at rest and recover. And so from when we've had the trial to now, it has been nothing but craziness, emotional heaviness, travel, like all the things. And we just have not rested. But like I said last week on listening to your body, it will tell you what you need. So last Saturday, we hosted like a little pool party with my sisters and my mom. It's my sister's birthday. And just for from 12 to 5:30, say. But like about 4:00, I'm thinking, I think my body is shutting down.
Amen.
Like I could not function. And so as soon as everybody left, I told Eric, I'm like, I gotta lay down and like take a nap. Like my body is like time out. Like you have not rested in like 2 months. So we crawl in bed at 5:30, wake up at 7:30. I still don't get up. I'm like, could you just bring me my laptop? Because I had stuff I wanted to do. I had to get the podcast out, all of that stuff. I never got out of bed. And then we watched TV for a little bit and then slept until 7:00, 6:30, 7:00.
Something like that. Morning. We slept. We needed it bad.
You have to rest. It will eventually catch up to you. Mm-hmm. And then your body will just be like, yeah, and you're done.
Yeah, I agree. And that happens with the kids too. They they overdo it, and then they need a good afternoon nap, something like that, which I think as teenagers, they do appreciate the afternoon nap more than they did when they were young, for sure. One of the other things I read about as you're getting your kids back ready for school is to set schedules for study time. And especially if you know that there's a test coming up. And we have some kiddos that do it better than they schedule their time well to study, and some that maybe don't. And so it is a thing this year. I really want to make sure that when the ones that struggle with their time, that you're home, and from 5 to 7, we've got your phone, we've got this, you're studying, because we're not going to argue about it. You can be mad about it and you can just sit there and pout, but we're not going to do this, because we've done that in the past where we've let them dictate and they've proven that they can't do it, unfortunately. So this goes for all people. As I was Googling things, set study schedules, do it the right way, where you're just like, hey, this is the time. I'm being very upfront and honest with you that this is what we're doing. You'll get your phone and your stuff back when your study is up at this time. So we're going to knock that out. Also get to know the kids' teachers if you can. This is a bit of a pain. It's something you have to do as parents, but it's always good to be on good terms with the different teachers that your kids have, because sometimes they do a good job, sometimes they do not. And if you're needing, please, can we get some extra credit? Please, can we get some grace in this area? Getting to know your kids' teachers can be helpful and beneficial.
I mean, or you just know at some point during the school year, the teachers will reach out to you, especially, one child in particular. You just know you're going to get to know their teachers. One way
not just another. One. We each have one. We each have one that we know the teachers are going to reach out. It is happening. And then finally, back to school eating. Are you meal prepping on a Sunday for the week so that you can pack your kids' lunches? Do your kids love the school lunch? Do they want to take their lunch every day? Do they have practices after school immediately that they need a after school snack between school and practice? We're living all those different scenarios right now. I will say that the grocery bill with Carter going off to college so far has eased up a bit. The kids, Carter, this is a funny story. Chase immediately, then I was like, I'm going to be like Carter and eat like Carter. So he takes like 2 steaks the other night. He gets through the first one and he's like, I can't eat this much food. And it's like, yes, this is good, because I don't want to have to buy that much food.
Yeah.
I want you to keep eating the way you eat, so that we aren't replacing Carter's meal plan. That's not what I want at all. So those are other things that happen as we get back into the swing of things school-wise. And I'm sure that you have got some of your own quirks and things that happen in your home that you could share with us and let us know. But as we get back into it, that's kind of where we're at as far as kids are back. Seems like across the country, there's maybe only a few places where kids don't go back till around September 1, but most places are back in school. And I think it's good to be back in a routine and to start getting things going in the right direction. And when the twins are driving in 4 months, Angie's going to make time for our routine. That's what I heard.
Oh, dear God.
That's what no, that's not.
Oh, maybe I'll delay their driver's test.
Man.
Make them still need me.
Son of a gun.
Poor guy. I have had some homework too. I feel like I'm back to school a little bit, and that I am knee deep in my second book. So, little update on that we are in the middle of illustrations. So I'm reviewing those on a regular basis, and I'm hopeful that I will have the first full draft to review in like 3 or 4 weeks. So
that'd be awesome.
It's exciting. Yes, it's exciting. I think it's going to flow well with the first book and hopefully share more. This one's about being brave. It's about facing your fears and being brave. And again, there's a bunch of Easter eggs tied into our real story and how I'm taking my fears and turning it into something beautiful that I think would make Hallie proud.
Purpose in the pain.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Hallie, there's only one way to really end this back to school episode, and that is that we wish each and every one of you and your kiddos a very happy and successful school year. And as Hallie would say, just remember, C's get degrees.
Yeah. Yeah. So you don't have to have straight A's. Like
C's get degrees per Hallie. So there you go. And with that, we hope you have an absolutely wonderful week, and God bless.
Thank you for listening to Blended Blessed and Always a Mess. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and at blendedblessedalwaysamess.com.
Reach out to us on any of our social channels. We would love to hear from you. Have a great week.